This is one of the most interesting classes I have ever engaged. Some time back, I uploaded a video on the poem In Memory of W.B. Yeats by W.H. Auden. And several viewers pointed out that I had left out the second, the third, and the fourth stanzas of the third section of the poem. I am thankful to the viewers for pointing it out, and some of the viewers happen to be my direct students. It is true that I left out the three stanzas, but it is also true that W.H. Auden left out the stanzas even before me. When the poem was written, the three stanzas were there. But after some time, the poet felt that the better part of valor is discretion, or as we usually put it, discretion is the better part of valor. And he decided to deselect the three stanzas. But after his death, many editors prefer to include the stanzas in the poem. Thus, another time, which contains a selection of Auden's poems, published by Random House in 1940, includes In Memory of W.B. Yeats without the three stanzas. But selected poems published by Vintage Books in 1979 includes the poem with the stanzas, includes the poem with the three deselected stanzas. You must remember that W.H. Auden breathed his last in 1973. And after his death, many editors prefer the longer version of the poem. Be that as it may, I am extremely grateful to those who pointed this out. And today we shall consider the three stanzas which were not considered in the previous video. Time that is intolerant of the brave and innocent. Time is the great destroyer. Nothing, absolutely nothing, escapes the clutches of time. And the poet here says that time has no special tolerance towards the brave and the innocent. Time that is intolerant of the brave and innocent. The great warriors of today, the brave soldiers of today, are seldom remembered tomorrow. As for the innocent, I think they are forgotten today itself. The American general Douglas MacArthur once said, I think he was quoting from an old army ballad. This was what he said. Old soldiers never die. They just fade away. The point is that even the great soldiers of the past are not remembered today, and time is intolerant of the brave and innocent and indifferent in a week to a beautiful physique. Time has no special consideration towards beauty, just as it has no special consideration towards bravery, towards innocence. When a beautiful woman dies, time ensures that she is forgotten in a week's time. At the most, for 1 week, she is remembered. Physique means body, not just the body, the shape of the body, the size of the body, even the development of the body. And indifferent in a week to a beautiful physique. As I said, time is the great destroyer. It destroys everything. It ensures that all memories are obliterated, that the brave, the innocent, the beautiful are all forgotten. Worships language and forgives every one by whom it lives. Pardons cowardice, conceit, lays its honors at their feet. The point that Auden makes is that time, which obliterates everything else, refuses to obliterate language. In fact, it worships language. And it forgives, it pardons, it excuses every one by whom it lives. I think the general import of the line is that it forgives writers, it forgives poets, everyone by whom it lives. I think it can stand for language. Language fundamentally, basically, is in the hands of writers. And language lives through writers. Time forgives everyone by whom language lives. You may feel that it's the other way around, that writers live by language. They have no existence without language. They use language in order to live. Right. But it is also true that language is very much the creation of writers. If there were no writers, there would be hardly any language. Language lives by writers. At least that is what writers feel. That is what poets feel. That is what Auden feels. Pardons cowardice, conceit. Cowardice is lack of bravery. Conceit is arrogance, extreme pride in oneself, excessive pride in oneself. I think these two qualities, I don't know whether I can call them qualities, are commonly found in writers, in poets. They are all cowards, they are all conceited. They are armchair warriors. They inspire others to fight, but seldom take part in the actual fight. And they think very highly of themselves. And time, which is intolerant of bravery, innocence, indifferent to beauty, pardons cowardice, pardons conceit, if it happens that the cowardice, that the conceit is in the character of a writer, of a poet, by whom language lives. There is no doubt that time, which obliterates everything else, has a very special attitude towards literary artists. It lays its honors at their feet. Ultimately, nobody is honored more than the poet, than the writer. Time refuses to honor others who are responsible for more tangible achievements. But time lays its honors at the feet of those who wield the pen. Not for nothing is it said, not for nothing is it said, the pen is mightier than the sword. Who said the pen is mightier than the sword? The quotation is attributed to Lord Lytton, Edward Bulwer Lytton, Lord Lytton, the Victorian politician and writer. When I was a child, my father used to compel me to do copywriting. I had to write a sentence, I had to write a line over and over again, and one of the lines I had to write over and over again as part of my copywriting exercise was, the pen is mightier than the sword. Time, that with this strange excuse pardoned Kipling and his views, and will pardon Paul Claudel, pardons him for writing well. This is indeed a very powerful stanza. W. H. Auden was a leftist. He was very much influenced by Karl Marx, and his writings display a constant concern for the poor and the suffering, for the people at the margins of society. Not being a leftist was sinful, even criminal, from the perspective of Auden. You have to bear this in mind while dissecting the stanza. Here the poet says that time has this inexplicable excuse, strange excuse, very unreasonable excuse. It has a special concern for whoever handles language. If you're a writer, if you write well, time will not obliterate you. Everyone else may be destroyed, but you will not be destroyed. Even if you don't deserve that escape from destruction, that escape from obliteration. Pardon Kipling and his views. Rudyard Kipling was an imperialist. He was a short story writer, a novelist, a poet, a dramatist, a journalist. In fact, he was born in Bombay and he has written about Bombay. He was an out and out imperialist. He was a spokesman of the British Empire. And if I am not wrong, he was the first English language writer to be awarded the Nobel Prize. The views of Kipling were unpardonable from the perspective of Auden. But even Kipling, with his imperialist views, escaped the destruction of time, the obliteration of time. Time forgave Kipling and his imperialist views because he was a writer, because he was a poet, because he handled language. And will pardon Paul Claudel, pardons him for writing well. Paul Claudel was a French dramatist, poet, diplomat, writer. He was a devout Catholic. He had right wing views, again unpardonable from the perspective of somebody like Auden. Auden says, even Paul Claudel, with his right wing views, with his devout Catholicism, will be pardoned by time, and time will not destroy Paul Claudel, the French poet, who was nominated several times for the Nobel Prize, because Paul Claudel wrote well. The point is that whatever be your views, whatever be your activities, whatever be your character, if you are someone handling language, if you are a writer, time will not destroy you. I am reminded of the opening lines of Sonnet 55 of William Shakespeare. Not marble, nor the gilded monuments of princes shall outlive this powerful rhyme. These are indeed very powerful lines. The three stanzas which we have dissected today are extremely well crafted. The craftsmanship, the technical excellence of W.H. Auden is fully displayed in these three stanzas. The rhyme scheme is perfectly maintained. So is the meter. A number of figures of speech are used. The most important of these is personification. Time is personified. And the poet says, time is intolerant, time is indifferent, time worships, time forgives, time pardons, time lays honors at the feet. We can almost see the figure of time standing before our eyes in human form, a very appropriate, a very graphic, a very brilliant personification. The poet makes use of alliteration. I think it is in the third stanza. Cowardice, conceit, occurring close to each other. There are allusions to writers, specifically to the British writer Rudyard Kipling and the French writer Paul Claudel. Perhaps it was these allusions which prompted W.H. Auden to rethink the appropriateness of the stanzas and to delete the stanzas from the poem. As I said, the stanzas started appearing as part of the poem only after the death of W.H. Auden. I would like to wrap up the discussion by remarking that what W.H. Auden says here in these three stanzas is not something very original. The idea that literature is immortal, that the creators of literature are immortal, is certainly not an original idea developed by Auden. There is an ancient Egyptian text titled The Immortality of Writers. The Immortality of Writers. I think it's now in the British Museum in London. There is an ancient Egyptian text titled The Immortality of Writers, in which the very same idea is expressed in categorical terms.